here's the moment that we've all been waiting for. We have our very special guest, none other than Paul Porter, the founder of RapRehab.com and former program director for BET. Paul, what's going on?
Yo, what's going on? You could tell Camille is really smart because when she made her Twitter handle, she said _Camille H. That's like real brilliant people think of putting underscore first.
No, it's because everything else was taken.
Yeah, okay, all righty. But hey, I'm glad to be here.
Thanks for being with us, Paul. So just a little disclaimer. We write for RapRehab.com. So I don't want our listeners to say, like, wait a minute. Aren't they, frequent writers on the platform?
Well, we ain't supposed to be able to talk together?
Yeah,
I didn't know they had some rules like this shit.
You know how people will find shit just
those are the people that find shit and we're not reaching anyway because they're looking for like little shit. They're not trying to awaken their mind half the time. They're worried about bullshit. I know a lot of people like that. I'm much older than both of you. Take my word, forget about them.
Forget
you
about them.
You lost them. It's too late.
That's right.
Some people, it's just too late, and it's okay. They got to have people on the other side.
We should just start hashtagging "It's too late for you."
It's too late for you.
Yeah, it's too late for that motherfucker. Please, okay. If y'all don't know the difference between Al Sharpton, look, we went from Malcolm X to Al Sharpton. If y'all can't see the difference in leadership, that's all I say half the time. From Malcolm to Sharpton.
Yeah, that's
It's too late for you.
It speaks for itself.
It's too late for you.
You think Malcolm X could have had a television show on NBC? Sharpton might replace Brian Williams as the anchor. Yeah, right. That was a joke, but you know what I mean.
Yeah, for those who are following the Brian Williams fiasco that's unfolding. Hey, Paul, the reason to have you on the show, man, is because you have insight that very, very people have.
I thought we could have talk about how bullshit the Grammys really are.
Well,
how set up the Grammys are.
That's what we're gonna do. I mean, we talked about it a little before you came on air. Believe me,
y'all didn't talk about it real. Y'all were talking nice.
No. But this is what's good because remember what we said.
It's too late for us.
It's too late for us. We're the youngins. No, but what's cool? Remember earlier I said damn, as much hate as we're talking, people are gonna label us haters.
Yeah.
But think about it.
We got the real hater on now.
But it's the way you position it. I'm not a hater. I'm just telling you the truth, and you're being bamboozled all the time. They pick which motherfuckers go win.
Just so people understand, not only are you currently the founder of Rap Rehab, which is one of the best platforms to speak truth to power when it comes to the music industry and hip-hop culture, but you used to be a program director at BET.
Look, I know my shit, okay?
Yeah, exactly.
And it's not ego, but I started early. I started going to Nina Simone's house when I was 9 years old. Did I know who Nina Simone was? No, but I used to go there on weekends. My best friend, that was his stepmother. And, I've learned the music business for a long time, been in it on all phases and levels, and I see through it. And I don't mind talking about it.
Exactly.
Because I've had the New York radio gigs, the BETs, the Entertainment Tonights, the Billboard. But I'm not scared to talk because I'm not hostage to a paycheck. Do I need a bigger motherfucking paycheck? Yeah. I'm not rich, but I'm okay. If shit gets bad, I can pick oranges or fruit. So I'll put my shit up with everybody. But just because you watch the Grammys and you see Iggy Azalea get an award, you don't have to flip out because that shit's not for you. It's not.
No doubt.
You don't run the music business.
Right.
Just like we don't make movies. We get excited about Selma, and that's cool. It's a beautiful movie. But what is it about Selma? It's like, yeah, you down. We don't see too many ups. We get Empire. Yeah, it's number one in America, but it's the same shit. You shooting your boy in the head. How many people do you know that shoot their boy in the head?
Right.
And I know it's on TV, but I'm just saying, why is the only, 60% of the stuff on TV, the same stuff for the same images.
Right.
So this music game is so rigged, and we're so vested in entertainment and looking for these people to be our voices, but they don't have a process for them to get there. That's why I started Rap Rehab, because so many brothers are lost trying to get there. And they're making nice music, but we're so fragmented, we're so splintered, it ain't working. Let's be honest. Yeah, they got some good underground shit over here in our underground, but we losing with these kids.
And at the end of the day, that's why it matters, is because the kids are being influenced by it. It's completely shifting this upcoming generation.
And these are the kids that are coming to Uncle Paul's house later when Uncle Paul's 75 trying to rip me off, and I'm going to shoot him in my bedroom. So I'm trying to stop it now, really, man. Because we got some lost people. And I think there's a generation of people that can really say, yo, my parents are doing better than I am.
Yeah. Statistically, I think that's what people have been saying, that parents were better off than the kids are today.
Yeah, because they could retire and they could do this, and they had unions and some things that benefited some folks. And when you look at it musically, we went backwards. That Empire show, the closest that comes to is Death Row in the 90s.
Right, yeah.
Nobody in 2015 is running nothing. No. You got L.A. Reid, who has to have on a $4,000 suit, signing Bobby Shmurda, because he's in touch with the streets, because he's seen it on YouTube, and he has great Twitter numbers. Man, shut the fuck up. You know, I mean, and L.A. Reid's a musician, so he knows better.
Yeah, he should know better, exactly.
Yeah, but I'm just telling you, that's how it is. You get $1 million, I think people lose their mind. And he's got more than $1 million, but I always see that as the breaking point. You know, a guy can make $300,000, be cool, but once they go over $1 million, it's about some other shit. It's about my brand.
Let me ask you this, because I know there's been a lot going on behind the scenes for you in regards to a project that you've been working on and an artist that you've been working on.
My cousin signed.
Yeah.
Yeah, so Chris Porter has a song called The Water Dance. You can Google it and watch the video on YouTube. And it's a pop rap song, or what in the industry we call a rhythmic song. No cursing. It's fun. It's up-tempo. It's funky. But the black stations, black people go, oh, that's not urban enough, because there's no bullshit in it. But it's not hip-hop, or it's not. Well, who are you to tell Chris what he does is not his music? He's not calling it anything. But to say it's not black, that's bullshit. And the record companies now, I've talked to more people, and let me just be honest, and it's no big deal.
Yeah.
But I've talked to more Jewish people in the last 60 days than I have in my whole life. Because the Jewish people run the record label.
Right.
And it's okay, but when you hear their perspective talking about projects, they don't get it.
Now tell me some of the things, because I know we talked about it. Some of the specifics.
Now, to make a blacker version of the same record for urban, to add curse words, to we did a clean video. He has a line about donkey on there. So we rented a donkey, a white mini donkey, for $500 to put in the video, so we wouldn't put an ass there. We show a donkey to be funny.
Right.
So they love that, but it's stole. But the problem is there's very few black artists like Jason Derulo or Flo Rida that really go pop before they go black. Because right now, the Bobby Shmurdas are urban radio. So if you don't have that story with you, like, the bad thing for Chris is like, wow, he's had the same job for 10 years? That's like, that doesn't sound good in a bio. Camille doesn't write bios like that.
No.
Right.
but the problem is that when they say we needed to be more black, they don't mean we need to be more black. They mean we needed to be more ignorant. And because they're equating black with ignorance. We need more curse words. We need more violence. We need more misogyny. That's what they're saying when they say we need it. Can you make it blacker? Which is bullshit.
Yeah. And then the deals out here are doo-doo. So all these guys that think they're going to get Trinidad James money or whatever, they're not doing those deals no more. They've been losing on the Chief Keefs. They've been losing money. Bobby Smurder's in jail. It ain't working, but they're still going to try some more.
Yeah. Matter of fact, I remember when Epic was talking about bailing him out. I think
Man, ain't nobody bailing. That boy's in there he's in there for good.
Yeah.
But you do the math. Bobby Smurder has sold like 10,000 EPs. The single has sold 800,000 downloads, but that's less than $800,000. And they spent that on Bobby a long time ago.
Yeah, and that's something.
That's how much it costs for radio, pay for radio. These records don't happen by accident. They are forced down your throat.
And I think that's something that a lot of listeners don't understand.
Yeah.
You know, they listen to it on the radio, and it seems like, you know, this person is at the top of the charts, living it up, you know, and then, like you said, you find out, you know, 10,000 EPs sold, you know, not even 1 million downloads. So it's a far cry from what the public perception is.
Yeah, I asked my students specifically, why do you hear that song so often on the radio? And they say flat out, because it's the hottest song right now. That's why they're playing it so much.
No, but that's why we watch the BET Awards and why we're tuned in and focused in, and everybody's talking about the Grammys and why this happened, because we always look at the big media as acceptance, and media also controls culture, so they know what they're delivering to you. You know, I bet you it's not at their homes. These same executives, because the funny thing, you know, my man does all the bar mitzvahs for the stars, and they don't have those acts performing for their kids at 16, even though their kids know the records.
Right, of course.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, it's just not culturally appropriate in certain circles, but it's expected in others. Let's talk about cultural misappropriation. I mean, we talked about it a little bit, you know, before we came on the show, but you know, behind the scenes, what are you hearing? What's the buzz in terms of how we're witnessing this gradual whitewashing of rap and R&B?
Yo, they're doing it, and here's the strategic stuff. Like, they have the new classic hip-hop format.
Right.
You know, Boom and whatever else they call it. They got one out there in L.A. and different markets. But that format, that's taking the place of Urban AC formats that did play the R&B and the D'Angelos. They're burning those stations and putting classic hip-hop stations. And then they're twisting it. Look what's going to happen in Hot 97 over the last 6 months and next 6 months. They started playing all the pop records. They're phasing stuff out right before your eyes.
Yeah. Absolutely.
And everybody else don't get it.
Yeah, Cypher Sound got fired, or he got let go. Oh, he left. Yeah, he left.
Yeah.
And you know, I heard him recently talk about how they are playing Ariana Grande now and playing all these, you know, artists that years ago you'd never imagine would be on the quote-unquote home of hip-hop and R&B, you know, in New York, the mecca of the culture.
Yeah, well, that's what they're paid to do. You know, folks ain't never not getting paid. So if the option is, there are no radio warriors out there. No matter what Funkmaster Flex tells you, there's some stuff he plays that he's paid for. And that's okay. But at least everybody should know it. And when you know it, you listen differently.
Right.
You know, you find new stuff. You understand it. At least I want folks to understand that y'all are getting taken.
Yeah.
Just don't smile and take it, and understand why Jay-Z's the baddest mofo of all time at age 46.
That's a whole lot of pay for play right there too.
Yeah. But it costs money. It costs money to break an artist. You can have the greatest record in the world and walk into a radio station, and they are not going to play it.
I was just reading an article about a popular, well, not even popular, but this woman who was a songwriter back in the day, Rosemarie McCoy, who recently died. She died at 92 years old, and she wrote over 850 songs throughout her lifetime. And she wrote songs for all of the hot people, Ike and Tina, Elvis, James Brown, just all the big names that you could possibly imagine. All of them had at least one song that she wrote. And she wrote one song that she gave to a black group called the Eagles, and it went nowhere. And then Elvis Presley covered that same exact song and sung it way not even close to being as good as the Eagles did.
Watered it down.
Right. And that
Bing
album.
Crosby'd it.
Yes, Bing Crosby'd it. And that album itself went #1 on the Billboard album chart for 10 weeks.
Because the money. But strategically, like at the Grammys, Beyonce singing the Mahalia Jackson song that Ledisi got nominated for, but she's not performing, even though Beyonce has a record up for Album of the Year. She's not performing one of her songs. She's performing Ledisi's song from the soundtrack. And why do you think that is? People will say ratings. Really?
No.
They're going to make sure Ledisi don't get on there, and they're going to get Beyonce. If Beyonce said, no, I don't want to do her song, I want to do my song, are they going to say no to Beyonce? No, but Beyonce was like, sure. So Ledisi's not on and Beyonce gets all the spotlight.
But the problem is that Beyonce continues to make money and Ledisi is not even close to that. And Rosemarie McCoy died broke. Even though she wrote 850 songs, she died broke. While Elvis covers one of her songs and he's known as one of the greatest of all times.
Well, guess what? I hate to sound cold, but that was on Rose getting a lawyer. She got, and people are getting robbed every day. The one thing I got is the best lawyer in the world.
Yeah.
Because I'm not going to get robbed on that end.
Right.
I'll get robbed paying him, but he's got the biggest firm in New York, and he's the senior partner.
And that's what's happening to a lot of these young cats anyways. They're not up on their business. They don't really have anybody in their corner representing their best interest.
Yeah, of course not. But we're just thinking about when we make music, how we making it, get it out there, let people hear, man, check my stuff out, check my stuff out. And you having people check your stuff out for 10 years and never made any progress.
Yeah. Plus
the game has changed.
Plus, it's hard to get legitimate legal representation when all you're doing is trying to promote your mixtape, right? Hey, Paul.
When you're not saving up any money.
Right. Hey, well, as I mentioned, you used to work for BET. You used to work for different radio stations on the East Coast. So how have things changed behind the scenes in the music industry from how it was when you came up to what it is now? You know, we hear people talk about the good old days or back in the days or how things are horrible now.
It's corporate. You know, there would have been no grunge music, no Motown, no Outkast, no South. You know, records used to break regionally, and there were program directors and markets that were known for music. You know, in the last 10 years, that's been killed.
Yeah.
I mean, it's just corporations that say, bam, we're going to make this work, we're going to make this work, and everything sounds the same. You know, you'll have a station in Seattle sounding like a station in Miami, you know, and it's all run by dollars, and there's nothing wrong to being run by dollars, but it's just run poorly. You know, the standards of music have went down, the programmers have went down. You know, everybody just does the same thing, so the people suffer, and the culture suffers, because even though the underground is back to being underground again, the masses, we're losing a lot of people that don't get to hear and understand things that, music used to speak to people on different levels. And I'm saying there's room for everything, but there has to be some balance. But it doesn't have to be balanced if you own it. And until people stand up and start bonding together and protesting or cutting out things of their diet, it's not going to change. You keep eating, some fatty meat, eating pig, you're going to wind up with high blood pressure.
You started RapRehab.com to, give a voice, to give a platform to artists and even a philosophy that didn't really get any public exposure. What's the kind of feedback that you get from people about Rap Rehab? I mean, how do they respond to the articles, or what the website even stands for?
Well, in the beginning, it was, ain't nobody gonna read anything that makes sense, man. Everything's about news headlines, and of course, those sites, the World Hip Hops and the Rap Radars and All Hip Hop, are 10 times more popular. But Rap Rehab did 2 million people last year. Right. Which is damn good, because we don't have any bullshit on the site.
True.
We have, real perspectives that when people read it, they notice it, and it's much different than everything else. I can report on Chris Brown, breaking probation, but why is that needed?
Right.
Y'all go get that from TMZ.
Yeah.
Because anything you read in on TMZ really ain't making no sense. It's just gossip.
It's interesting because both you and I, we talk to a lot of, artists and people who are, I guess you could say, legends in the game, and they really respect Rap Rehab. I mean, in the elite of hip hop, in terms of the established, the people who have laid the foundation. Somebody like Chuck D, for example, really, really respects Rap Rehab, and that's one of his go-to platforms. So I think it's dope to have that.
Well, they better dope we contribute some money to it. Do some promotions with it. And that's what doesn't happen, and that's why it doesn't get bigger. I hate to say it's a disaster, but, the site got so much traffic, had to change again. And it costs $150 to change it so it'll stop freezing, and now it's $100 a month instead of $50 a month. Well, as everybody knows, you can't make money on the web.
Right.
With 2 million, you got to have a 80 million and 50 million and 30 million and crazy numbers to have anything going.
Yeah.
Can't even keep your lights on.
What are some of the most popular pieces, that you've had on the site that have really, given you some great feedback? And you don't have to talk about our pieces, because that's just shameless promotion.
Even though we know ours are.
No, but I mean, anything that really exposes things from an honest angle. I just think that the pieces that do the best are the ones that, if it's about the church, if it's about, hip-hop and criminals and the Grammy, you know what works on the site, but it's just a perspective that you're not going to hear anyplace else, because everybody else is sort of buttoned up and buttered in with the industry. And it's, they'll cut you out for telling the truth. You think I can go get a deal from L.A. Reid or Leor Cohen if I don't hear my fucking troubled mouth, that Paul Porter, that motherfucker? Well, fuck you too.
Do people call you like a rebel or a troublemaker behind the scenes, man?
Oh, man, it always used to happen. Now it's just, it carries some weight, because we're going to reach some people. We reaching all the real peoples, so it's getting a lot more respect, if anything, because people definitely see, if you read it enough, you go, yeah, they right about that.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
Right.
They right about that. And then when you think about it, you haven't read it anywhere else or anything even taking that angle.
Yeah. That's the thing. And I think from my end, I get a lot of feedback from people saying this is really the only place you can go to get this kind of information.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Who, just as a little side note, on a lighter note, who do you listen to these days? As somebody who's been in the game for so long, who are, some new artists that really, really get you?
You know what? I gotta be honest, man. I'll listen to the Heat on Sirius XM, which gives me a blend of everything.
That's
because I still want to hear the garbage.
Right.
It's important for me to hear the garbage.
I agree.
Because that's like my passion.
Right.
I can't be one of those guys to say, "Nah, man, I just listen to KRS-One."
Yeah,
and that's cool. But I listen to a lot of new guys who wouldn't be on anybody's radar, but they just don't have their game together.
Right. Of course.
And that's the hard part. So you can hear pockets of good music. There's great music out there that if it had, $200,000 put behind it, it could make some noise. But I tell folks, you got to have $100,000 minimum to try to even get signed.
So
everybody says they can do it independently, but that's bullshit too.
Yeah, because we know a
Yeah.
lot of these so-called independent artists. The independent success stories. They're not nearly as indie as we think they are, right?
Oh, of course. And some of the people that have made a good living and really don't have hit records. Don't get me wrong. There's people that tour the world that do well.
Right.
But, their music just doesn't reach a lot of people. The conscious songs don't get the push or the marketing or even from the major blogs that, do hip-hop. They mix that, J. Cole's one of the brightest young guys who's actually doing the work.
Right. Exactly.
Back home from the house he grew up in, everything else he does.
Yeah.
So J. Cole's a bright light.
What about everybody's always putting J. Cole and Kendrick Lamar, as the shining light of of today's rap. But
that are them two, and then anybody else in Kendrick Lamar's camp.
Yeah,
They're
anybody else in
always
Kendrick Lamar's
just
camp.
the staples.
Right. So
there were two big companies too.
Yeah.
And they are bright spots, but they always give you a couple of bright spots. That's what people got to stop tripping on. Jay-Z's a bright spot. Beyonce and Diddy are bright spots. Well, how come we've been seeing the same people for 15 years? Okay, then they throw you in a Drake, and they just give you a couple of people, man, and see who the people are. It's like, how come the number one black activist on television is Al Sharpton?
The number one black
and
activist.
He's been on for 25 years.
Yeah. Now you
and now he's being rewarded.
Right. You've had some interactions.
Man, I've had interactions with all the cats, the Pepsis, the Sharptons, and it's all the same. This shit comes down to money, man. And maybe one day I'll throw the white sheet over my head, get paid, get that big ass check. Well, for now, man, I keep fighting it.
I know.
Sooner or later, I keep looking at what my Social Security will be soon. I might have to take that Fox analyst job.
Oh shit! Well, it would be really interesting to see Paul as a Fox analyst.
Oh man!
Yeah, I think you're going to bring a very different energy to the set. Where do you go? I mean, I guess beyond Rap Rehab, what's your source of entertainment outside of Rap Rehab and Sirius Radio? I mean, we talked about Empire, so I know you're not a fan of Facebook.
Man, my Facebook timeline, I get most of my news from there.
Yeah. I think
started
many people
to see
do
what
today.
people are talking about.
Yeah.
I know it seems crazy, but I can't watch the news, and I follow a lot of industry stuff that's not fun. and I'm not a real TV freak, and I'm not a crazy reader either. But I won't watch videos of people too often. But, you know, I mean, I'd rather just walk with my puppy and have fun.
So, yeah, after all of that, it just comes down to the simple things in life, right?
Yeah, man, I want it to happen, man. I know it's an uphill battle. I'll fight as long as I can fight, but I'm also realistic, man. I'd rather reach one than go speak to 2,001 that ain't listening, you know, because one person will help. And do I think I'm great? You know, the Rap Rehab tour was prime evidence about our ability to go out there in front of the masses.
Right. Absolutely. So
that was a joke, man. That was a joke. We didn't go nowhere.
Yeah, we didn't go nowhere. We tried to kick off the Rap Rehab tour, but
you did say Whitney was the bomb. I feel good about her. Don't edit that out either.
Oh, damn, you're killing me. You're killing me. All right, we'll keep that on there. Anything before we let you go, Paul? Anything you want to share with the listeners, or even some of these aspiring artists who need direction and guidance from somebody who's been in the game?
You know, I just wanted to end with this, and this is going back a bit when you were talking. You and Camille talked about some of the top stories, but you know the shit that does the worst on the site is anytime we talk about Wiz Khalifa, Drake. Yeah, or I can't think of some of the other. You know, I was going through a period I was like, okay, I'm going to try this. I'm going to try this. And people were submitting things like really garbage city. You know, I just remember some of those stories, and that was the worst that I got, man. That shit won't happen no more.
Was that Rap Rehab's attempt at trying to remain relevant and with the younger
selling out? Yeah, I was selling out because I knew it wasn't gonna work. I'm like, we ain't picking up nobody new. Oh my God, that was torture, man. That was probably my worst moment since that site has been up.
Well, we're done with that phase. Paul, besides RapRehab.com, where can people get a hold of you?
That's about it. Shit, if I give out any more, the IRS will be up in here. Please. But yeah, just go to the site. There's a contact info up there, or on Twitter. My Twitter handle is @IndustryEars. And I get back to everybody whenever, and soon too, because everybody's important. Yep. That person answering the phone today, they'll be the CEO 2 years from now. And you'll be like, damn, I never talked to Camille. Shit, now look at her.
That's what I be trying to tell them.
Oh, man. Hey, Paul, I appreciate you being on the show and sharing your experience and all the little stories that most people don't really know about what goes on behind the scenes.
Yeah, all the shit. Hey, man, and I'm happy for Take No Prisoners Radio. I'm glad y'all got the audio down and you passed the baton like a smart brother would, Seb. And you said, let's team up with some people, because Seb been talking about teaming up with people for like 2 years. And finally you got some real audio. So, let's work it out.
Word.
Thanks
Thank you,
for having me.
Thank you. I appreciate it. All right,
and remember, the Grammys ain't for you. So stop crying.
That's a hell of a way to go out. That's what's up.
Yeah.
The Grammys ain't for you. Hashtag, right? Hashtag the Grammys ain't for you. Shit, if we get that
let's
popular,
do that.
it'll work. Much love to Paul Porter, founder of RapRehab.com and former program director at BET, for being our guest. It's always a pleasure to talk to Paul because Paul does not hold back.
He sure doesn't.
And that's what makes him the person that he is.
And they sell everything from the drawers to the pants to the Timberlands all of it is sold to you in some kind of way. And as I say, all of the big rappers had some part of the uniform to sell to the hip-hoppers, from the pants to the drawers, to the earphones, to alcohol, drugs. Being in the hip-hop uniform is really expensive. but they was all sold to you. And as I said, big business was socially engineering a race of people, naive black youth, and others across the earth who emulated them. That is why I also call it a culture of consumption. Hip-hop polluted the black American image across the earth. So, that's kind of what I think about it. I remember teaching a class out at UCLA, and one of the professors who they put over me, who knew very little about hip-hop, I remember him, people had come in from all over the world to take this course. And I remember him arguing with me in front of the students because he stated that, this is a UCLA professor, he stated that you couldn't do hip-hop without cursing. And I stood up and said, that's not true. You can curse if you want to, but, you didn't have to. And I had remembered what old Dirty Bastard said. He said he was told that the nastier he got, the more money he would make. So now they created a new culture of consumption. And, now it's changing again. They're got a category called conscious music. Now they're controlling our consciousness. They're defining through rap what consciousness is. And that's ridiculous. Consciousness has nothing to do with being a genre in a thing called rap. So some very clever social engineering has been used to pollute and degrade the African American image across the world, and to prepare our youth for prison. The destruction of several generations of African American youth have been polluted from this type of social engineering. That's what I call it, because I watched it go down, and I literally was a part of it. And so, that's just what I think about it, bro. And again, I'm not saying that you ain't had some hip rappers who did some hip things, but they never owned this. And as I said earlier, this was the second time in history that the drum was barred. And, that during slavery, they wouldn't allow us to play drums. And now they cleverly took the drum out of our music and added this controlling machine called a drum machine. And you can see its control in a very simple way. If you look at it for a long time, and it probably still, whenever you put on a hip-hop record, all heads start bobbing back and forth. Well, if I can make your heads bob back and forth in unison, it's no telling what I can make you do with sound, rhythm, tone, etc. And now they're even gaining more control with the earphones. And you put it right in your ear now. Well, if I can put something in your ear long enough at certain volumes and stuff, I can put anything I want to in your mind.
Damn, that's cold right there. How have legendary rappers responded to you? Give us some names and give us some people who have responded well to you, as well as some people you ran into in hip-hop who, didn't get that proper respect.
They all gave us respect. All of them, man. I just been sampled on the album with T.I. I'm 77 and I'm still being sampled. I've been sampled since I've been out by many of the rappers, from Eazy-E on, from Poor Righteous Teachers on. And they always gave us respect. But many of them, they claim to know us, but they don't know us. They have avoided us for many, many years, many of the big rappers. I don't know if they thought that we was going to come to them preaching or something, but we wasn't preaching to nobody. We was just talking what we saw. And so many of them have avoided us, but many of them haven't. And, we always respected them no matter where they was, because we knew after a while that they were being socially engineered and that they were grabbing some of the foulest of us in our community. And because, we have no control. When you sign with a record company, they going to put out what they want to put out. If you bring them something positive and something negative, they have the right to say to you, we don't want that political stuff. We want that stuff where you saying bitches and whores and MF. And, most of our people don't even know where the word MF came from. It came from slavery. And they used to make us, on the breeding forms, if you had a big buxom mother and you were a big buxom boy, they would put you with your mother, put a bag on your head and make you breed with your mother. That's where the word MF came from. And we use it like it's nothing. And it's really very painful, though, to those who are aware of its origin.
You was telling me right before this interview that you was in a studio and people was next door and something wasn't going right. Can you tell us what you was talking about?
Well, I was just saying that, I remember being in the studio with Snoop Dogg and Dr. Dre, and they were in the room next door, and we asked to see them just to compliment them on moving on up into the music world, because we didn't really understand what was really happening to them. But none of those cats would ever wanted to meet us. But they talk about us. They are very respectful to us. But as far as meeting us, maybe they thought we was going to ask them for something, but we wasn't beggars. We did our own thing. But, many of them who claim to know us never met us, nor did they want to. But you got great little cats now whom I pray for every day, like T.I., and these cats who are coming out with a positive thing. I have a lot of respect for them because they woke up and, they don't want to sell their people. They don't want to degrade their people anymore. They see what's happening, and I pray for them that, they're able to keep being conscious. Well, you can't stop consciousness. But as I said before, they're putting it in a category, the conscious rapper, which is so ridiculous. Consciousness have nothing to do with a genre in a record company.
No doubt. So do you still write?
Of course. I'll write my dying days. I still write, man. Every day. I still record life. And as I told you earlier, that's what it was all about. Open up an area of expression for those with no area of expression. And we thought that we could tell the truth and get paid for it. But we didn't get paid, we got punished.
Man, what's the last thing that you want to say to the Block Report crew on this session, man, on this interview right here? You got any words of advice, words of inspiration, words of warning for us?
Well, start thinking for yourself. And don't sell our people for no money. Just because, the record company asked you to do something foul, to do something, kill that brother, buy this juice, get on some dope, do this, do that. Don't sell our people. I was talking to Willie D. from the Ghetto Boys. I was in Texas, and he did an interview on me a few weeks ago. And we were talking about this same thing. And he asked me the question. He said, well, what would you do if your rent needed paying and your kids was hungry and the record company offered you $50 to do $50,000 to do this type of music? I said, man, there's no way that I would sell the whole black community for some money. If I had to, and I wouldn't want to, but rather than do that, I'd go steal something. I would do whatever I had to do to see that my kids ate. But I wouldn't sell all of my people just for some money. And I would like to say to the black youth, start studying. Start trying to see where your place is in this society. And don't be used to abuse our people and to further degrade them across the world. And I love all of you. I love all black youths. No matter where they're at, I'm still their elder. And they're still a part of me. No matter how foul they may get, I still love them and hope that they wake up one day. That's about all I can say about that.
There's all types of music being made.
That's right.
This is, and the reason why I singled out Hot 97 is this is it. This is the home of hip hop. This is where hip hop lives.
And for the purpose of the conversation, the reason I jumped out was because of that same reason.
Right.
I'm comfortable being the poster child, boy, whatever, the guy that people focus their anger on. The guy that people want to berate on Twitter or on videos. I'm comfortable in that position.
Right.
If you've been in mainstream radio, that's what everyone ain't gonna like you.
Right.
And that's kind of and when you're a program director, you've even signed up for a higher level of disdain.
Of course, you wear the black hat.
You are the bad guy.
Right.
Siphon them call me the fun crusher. Flex calls me and, we get into debates about what he wants to play.
Right.
Enough. You guys known enough, I'm sure, for years and years and years. He's from Brooklyn. He's a backpack rapper. These guys, Mr. C, they're all into that. So we have these same debates, right? And my thing comes down to what is performing the best that gets us the most ratings.
So it all comes down to numbers and ratings.
100%.
So is there no room then?
There's 100% room. So, perfect example. I don't know how long. Jay Electronica, that whole scene we put on with Jay Electronica when he put out that record.
Yes.
Me and Enough
which was your record.
Yeah. Right. Me and Enough was in the office, and Enough was like, "Man, I want to play this record, but man, I just don't think anybody cares."
Right.
I was like, "Ask them." So he went on the radio and he was like, "Man, I don't even think I could play a Jay Electronica because nobody don't even care anymore." Something to that effect. Twitter went crazy, play it, boom, boom. We put it in, played it in the mix, built it to rotation, did pretty well in research. It wasn't phenomenal, held it in there. Jay Electronica did his signing deals, boom, boom, pow. What happened? Where's the rest of the material?
Right.
Where's the movement? Where's the stuff? Talib Kweli's about to put out another album. So we've already started conversations about how his music's going to play out and what's that plan going to be? What's the marketing plan?
Right.
Because when we play a song for 3 minutes, okay, in that 3 minutes, I need to make sure that people do not turn off the radio. So I'm gambling, right? So if I take a risk and I play a song that I'm not 100% based on numbers, because when my bosses and everybody comes and says, "Yo, what's wrong with your ratings?" I have to show them either these are the things that I'm doing to get ratings.
Right.
And if those things aren't working, they're going to say, well, based on our research, you should be doing Z. And if I don't want to do Z, guess what? They get another me.
Right.
Mm-hmm. Right. Or I do and make sure I have complete backup on paper. Everything, how I'm moving.
All the data.
All the data. Why is this record being played? How often it's getting played? When it's getting played? Why it's getting played? I got to have all that. And then on top of that, this is New York City.
It's New York City.
So this is not a fucking game when it comes to being under the microscope of the FCC or being under the microscope of any of that shit. You better have all your shit lined up. Otherwise, you're going to be on the frying pan. You're not going to have a job.
So the call to you comes from Indiana. And
Indianapolis.
Yeah. And they basically have your game plan.
I have it detailed out for them. So, and actually the president of programming, Rick Cummings, he's actually out of Burbank, California. So he's closer, but technically corporate is in Indianapolis. But nonetheless, he works for Indianapolis, right?
Okay.
Everything that I'm playing, everything that I'm moving that you guys hear 10, 20 times a day, all of those records are researched records. Mm-hmm. We hire a company that goes out and does telemarketing on those songs.
Where? Do you have
New York?
Okay.
With 15 to 30-year-olds in certain zip codes, broken out by male, female, broken out by Hispanic and black, broken out by age cells, and then they rate them on a scale of 1 to 5.
This is when they do the call out?
This is called call out.
Okay.
Right. Then we also have, we was talking about PPM earlier off the air, we also have data that shows us how many meters stay on the station when we play a particular song. So if I play, like right now, I'm trying to think what that keeps 100% of the meters.
Click.
Chris Brown, Look at Me Now,
Right.
keeps 100% of the meters. That song
There's no drop off when that record comes on.
When that record comes on, if I played it 5 times or 10 times in the course of a week, it doesn't go nowhere.
Right.
Click, perfect example. I think it's in the 90s, like 92.7%. I'm playing that song 100 times a week.
Because it's market tested, it's laboratory.
Because every
it's laboratory
time I
tested.
play it,
Right.
meters don't tune away.
Right.
So this is a bit, we're running an operation here. Now, we love to get into the hip-hop debates about who's making what song and who produced and lyrical content and all of those things. But at the end of the day, it comes down to those factors. That's how I base what gets on the radio station in frequency.
Right.
Then you have what Flex does at 10 and 11 o'clock at night, or what K-Slay does, or what Rosenberg does, or what Mr. C does in the throwback at noon, or what Camilo does at the new at 2. Those are places that we take more risks, but those are calculated risks. Right? It's because we don't want to disrupt, especially from 7A to 7P, which is when the largest audience is listening, when the rates for advertising are the highest. We don't want to take risks that are going to tune people away.
Right.
Because in the way the ratings are broke out, Monday through Sunday, 6A to midnight is how your ratings are broken out. Then you have 12 plus, right, which is what most of the general public has access to. So if you were to go to Arbitron.com, you would see 12 plus. 12 plus represents persons 12 to 65 years old. Hot 97 is only concerned about 18 to 34-year-olds. So when we program our music, we're only concerned about that because that's where we make our money. So that's where we want our ratings to perform. We do our research based on that. So we're testing music associated with that demographic.
So what's changed? Because I've been listening to Hot 97 since day one. Like I've been listening when Protect Your Neck made the label.
No, we just had that conversation this morning.
It made this station credible.
That's
you know
right.
what I'm saying? Y'all were breaking the Fugees when they couldn't pay people to buy their record. Y'all were breaking Jay-Z. Y'all broke Jay-Z. In effect, Jay-Z wasn't a major leagues. Y'all broke Jay-Z.
That's right.
Y'all broke 50 Cent. What changed?
I think several factors changed. First, I think people have to understand that radio doesn't make music. Right? Like
of course.
I'm turning to these then.
But radio used to break music.
Right. But where we're getting it from. Right. So then you had most of the recording studios in the time you're referencing were either in New York or in LA.
Right.
That's it. You couldn't, as an artist, record a recording, right, without actually paying studio time, which was very expensive.
Yes.
Getting an engineer, whomever, and going in and recording. So the recording industry pretty much had a lock on who and what was getting recorded and distributed as far as music. So that's one piece of it. The other piece of it that's changed is the way record companies decide which music is going to be what their focus is.
To get behind
and market has changed because now they're looking at it geographically, right? If you're an artist coming out of New York, there's probably 2 or 3 major markets that will play your songs as a quote unquote New York artist.
Right.
New York, Connecticut, and maybe Philly, and then, Rochester and those things in between. You're not talking about a large population.
That's very limited.
Right. When you come out of Miami, you have Miami, Atlanta, New Orleans, probably pick up Texas. You're probably going to pick up Memphis, and you're going to pick up everything in between. So geographically, you've picked up more people.
The red states, basically.
The red states. You've picked up more people. Now, what's going to happen after that? BET looks at airplay, right? BET's going to go look at airplay and say, okay, well, this record's getting all of these radio stations. That's the music we're going to put on our video countdowns or features or artists, whatever, what have you. So now you have 2 things happening. You have the focus of resources from the recording labels focused in a certain region. You have BET focused in a certain region. Why do you think LA fell off? LA fell off because if you're a rapper coming out of LA, where are you getting airplay at?
LA. So the game is fucked up then?
Not really. Only if you want to be mainstream, though, because I think you can create a living being minor leagues. Sean Price doesn't give a flying
fuck.
Tech
9
doesn't give a fuck. Tech 9 I've known since the 90s. That's my boy.
Right.
He doesn't give a fuck about radio.
But why is he minor league? But why are these artists
because
who have...
they're not mainstream.
So it's just a a misnomer.
No,
then.
it's just me provoking motherfuckers to have a conversation about some shit that's meaningful to the business of a culture that we all were raised on.
Right.
We're having conversations about shit that's not meaningful.
Right.
Right? The meaningful conversation is you have a decision as an artist. Do you want to be a mainstream artist? Do you want to be an underground artist? Do you want to play the mainstream games or do you want to go create your own business? So many artists come up to me and say, yo, I want to get on the radio. I say, why? I want people to hear my music.
They want exposure. They want support.
Got tons of places to get music.
I mean, there was a time though when radio supported that artists. That time is over.
That time is over now.
So it's a different beast,
right? Because now you also throw in the Clear Channel animal and the CBS animal. 5 FM stations in this New York market are owned by the same company. They also own billboards. They also own train boards. That's Clear Channel. They own 105. They own KTU. They own Z100. They own Q103 or Q104, and they own Light FM. So when they go out to an advertiser, they're like, look, if you want to market to females in New York City, we got all of them. We got black females on 105. We got white females on Z100 and Q104. We got Latin females on KTU. And then we got work females.
We got old people on LTW.
We got them. We got what do you want? Right? So then, I want, and where's most of the money? For average, where do marketers go with their dollars most of the time?
With the broads.
Women.
Yeah.
Spanish women.
We love
black women in that order.
Yeah.
Right? So now you have a scenario. And if you listen to Hot 97, most of the music caters to a balance of men and women. It's melodic. It's about love. Or it's about partying.
Or it's about Molly.
Money.
And Molly.
Having
and Molly,
a party.
And Molly.
Molly. Yeah. Busting it open. Don't forget a bus open and a Molly here and there.
Of course.
You know what I'm saying? So those are, sweating. Right?
Yeah.
So those are the things that when I look at the music that's on the playlist, I'm like, oh, relationship, party, get high, party, recreation, party, love.
Spend money on bullshit.
Materialism. Go ahead.
Okay, but I have a question. Just like he said though, when it comes to the diversity, I grew up in Houston and I grew up in the 90s like when radio just had a little bit more diversity. Now it's hip hop isn't all about partying and it's not all about love and having a good time. There has to be some type or some way that a little bit more knowledge or something can be brought into the
I don't disagree with you, which is why we have programs that can take risks more so than most radio stations in the country. But the things, once again, back to the research, the things that are going to get the most airplay are the things that are researching the best. I remember one time me and Jay was having an argument about a record that he wanted to get played more often. I told him it wasn't researching. He was like, fuck your research. I want to come see. I was like, come sit in on the music meeting. I put the paperwork down in front of him and I was like, you tell me what you would play. You're a businessman. You're a betting man. Look at each one of these songs like it was a horse in a horse race or a pitcher in a baseball game. Where are you putting your money? You putting your money next to the shit that performs. That's that. Right? And that's what, when you're listening to the radio station, every song that gets played is an investment in the airtime on this radio. Right. This corporation bought the license from the FCC to broadcast, owns this frequency, right? Courtesy of the FCC and the federal government, right, and has been licensed to go out and get advertisers to spend money based on airtime. So 12 to 14 minutes of every hour on this radio station, right, is worth money.
Right.
Right? So then they use the music to capture a certain audience so that they can sell that audience to McDonald's, right, Coca-Cola, whoever the fuck they want to, right? So while the conversation is about hip hop, because you, in hip hop and a lot of cultural radio, you have what we call like a responsibility, right? Because Z100 don't give a fuck.
Right.
Z100 plays the biggest records, gets their money, and nobody says to Z100, how come you're not breaking local acts?
But that's what they're known for, isn't it? Isn't that what they're known for?
Right. But my point being is nobody's questioning them.
But that's also, hip-hop is different than rock and other forms of music. Hip-hop has always represented the people. It's always been, and especially in its early stages, like, Chuck D to all quote, CNN for black people. Mm-hmm. And nowadays...
But you're expecting a business to care, right, about what you're talking about.
Yeah.
But the difference is back before used to.
We're expecting a corporation to say, like, yeah, part of the reason why we've become rich, the way we've been becoming empowered, is because we've taken this, this cultural movement and we've capitalized on it.
Mm-hmm. And they will say, yeah, but we do. We do. You're saying we don't do it enough.
I'm saying what I see is that But what I see is this. What's playing right now, I think the danger is it is damaging the culture. It is essentially damaging the culture.
Yes.
And, you tweeted earlier this week, like, what are we fighting for? One of the things I'm fighting for is that what happened to Kiss doesn't happen to Hot 97. The music becomes so culturally irrelevant that at the end of the day, it gets bought out.
So you want to know why? Will you want me to tell you the Kiss story?
Yes, tell me the Kiss story.
The Kiss story is based on what we were, for your listeners, we were having a conversation off the air about how radio gets its ratings.
Right.
Okay. The way radio used to get its ratings was based on what is known as a diary system. They would send a pamphlet to your home. They would ask you to carry it for 7 days. You would write down in pen and pencil, right? Hold that thought. Yeah. Everybody remember he said tedious. You would write down in pen or pencil what you listened to for the week.
Right.
Most people would get that piece of paper, which comes with, for black families, it might come with $5. With white families, it might come with $2 because it takes more to get a black family or a black person to participate. So they pay those households more. You would then fill out what you listen to. Most of those diaries, because I've seen them, would say, I listen to Kiss FM all day, all week.
Right. And they would they would run with that.
And that would come back to the Arbitron people, and that's how they would tabulate ratings.
Right.
Where we are today is in a metered system, which is based on they call your house or knock on your door, hey, will you participate in this system? Right?
How can I get down with that, man?
Yeah, I can't participate.
I can't participate.
That's up to you and what you want to do.
I wonder how I get down with that.
I can't even discuss.
Right. Because they're giving out $5.
Yeah.
I think now they may give out like 10 now. It might be like
$5.
And how about this? There's families that I've heard about in the rating system. They might, as a household, you might have 4 or 5 people in there. You might be bringing in $40 a month. Right? That could pay a cable bill. We could
definitely pop a molly.
That's not paying my cable bill. But anyway,
you can't pay cable with that no more? Not
anymore.
All right.
Maybe like basic with 5 channels.
No HBO, man.
But you can get one of those prepaid phones.
Yeah,
you get one of the prepaid phones. All right, my bad. I'm out of
Metro
date.
PCS.
I'm out of touch. Yeah, I'm out of touch. So at any rate, so now you're expected, it looks like a pager, like an old school SkyTel, right? Throw it on your hip and that little thing picks up all of the radio that you're exposed to.
Right.
Okay. What happened in switching from diary to meter was you started to see that, wait a minute, these people don't really listen
truth came out.
as often as they do.
They don't listen 24/7.
The truth came out.
Right.
And so now black radio had remember, when you're black, you have a finite audience.
Right.
Right. So you're in New York, there's this many black people, and your brand is based on serving the black community.
Right.
Well, now you can't grow your ratings because it's finite. So you have 2 radio stations that were serving the same community and basically canceling each other out.
Right.
So the 2 companies decided, let's figure out a way to combine this into one thing so that the numbers go up, because now everybody's focused on one thing and we can make more money than we were making the past 5 years when we were doing battle against one another.
Right.
Right? So that's why on BLS you hear Lenny Green, you hear Shayla, you still got Steve Harvey, Jeff Fox, who used to be on KISS, you have the open line guys. So they basically merged the radio stations. They also did research and it was like, well, BLS is the heritage black owned radio station in this town.
Like the Frankie Crocker.
Right.
I mean, KISS FM is where I first, was where hip hop actually began.
Which is a great, it's a whole nother conversation or a whole story we'll jump on. So they decided to keep the BLS brand alive because it represented black ownership.
Yes.
It represented black community.
Legacy.
And legacy. So they felt like, look, we can't have the black owned radio station in market number 1 be the one to go away. So that's really what happened. So KISS went away. It was financial. It wasn't based on listening. It was based on the fact that 2 black radio stations serving the same community could not increase their revenues year over year. It was finite.
So they would sacrifice for the sake of WBLS.
Yes.
That's kind of crazy, man.
Right. And so really Emmis that owned Kiss basically was bought out, was paid to go away.
I gotta say, Ebro, that's still a political answer. The truth is, old black people in New York are dead.
Yeah.
There's only a few left.
I'm already in the frying pan, bruh.
Old black people in New York are dead. All right, then you don't say it. Then you don't say it.
But to your point, on some other research shit, since the new census came out, it's so expensive to live in New York so tedious that older black families, how many of our family members that lived in New York moved to North Carolina, moved to Atlanta because the life is better.
That's true.
Right? So when you're talking about the black experience in New York, the black experience in New York has changed.
It is changing too.
And still, look, if you look just look around you in your community. Where black people were in New York City in the 90s, in the 80s, in the 70s,
no longer here.
They're not there. They're in Jersey in the suburbs, gone or changed. I mean, so a lot of, remember, radio stations are a reflection of what's already happening.
So this issue is bigger than Hot 97. It's bigger than you. So once again, your hands are basically tied.
To an extent.
But to a major extent.
To a major extent. Now, we were talking about Talib Kweli the other day, and the reason I keep bringing it up is because it's top of mind and he's got some stuff coming. But he's a rapper that's known for his social consciousness, right? And he works very hard at maintaining that. He's had mainstream success, right? Did a record with Kanye West just to get by, huge record. I think he might have got nominated for a Grammy. A lot of success. Since that time, he's done great touring. He's had great businesses. He's got signed to labels, dropped from labels, whatever, what have you. He's an example of someone who's going to try to reemerge himself in the mainstream because now the pendulum is swinging where you have the Kendrick Lamars, the A$AP Rockies, and these guys that have built their base and their movement with social tools, modern tools to create awareness of their brands, right? Because now when a radio station takes a risk on a Kendrick Lamar, when that mic comes open and you go new music from Kendrick Lamar, the audience, the person listening says, I've heard that before. I've heard of that person. I saw that person on MTV. Oh, that's the guy Lady Gaga went to his concert. All of those were marketing tactics to create Kendrick Lamar's awareness because it's more than just the song.
Right.
We decide what music we like beyond just the song. How many times have you liked a song and then saw the artist or heard the artist speak and been like, I don't really like that no more?
Yeah, a lot of times.
Right? But that's because it's more than just about the song, which gets us into this minors versus majors conversation, which is like, all right, yeah, you're a dope MC. Example, Eminem, phenomenal MC. But until he got with Dr. Dre, he didn't make great songs.
Of course.
You know what I'm saying? And that's one of the biggest problems in New York today. The biggest problems in New York, and that's why I'm glad Blaze is here. The biggest problem in New York, and we brought this up to Swizz too, is the people who know how to make hit songs, sonic songs. Blaze knows this too. There's a certain way to go in a studio, and it takes studying, and it takes understanding Pro Tools.
There's a formula,
and
an art form to it.
There's an art form, but to make it sound like something.
Right.
To make it feel like an event. Not just I threw a loop on with a sample and some drums that I stole from Fruity Loops and I rhymed to it. A fucking song. With a story and a beginning, a middle, and an end, and a whole thing, right? That's one piece. The other piece is the marketing piece. Then the third piece is your ability to connect with the audience, right? You have to go out and campaign yourself so that somebody wants to invest their money in your show, your money in your album. When I play the song on the radio, they want to keep it listening.
So a minor league artist hasn't connected all three of those facets?
No, some people have crossed minors to majors. That's where a Hove or a 50 or... Look, even before 50 was signed to M, 50 shit was ringing out here. 50 Cent as
he was making songs.
Yeah, but remember, he had Sha Money was in there with him. He was melodies.
His first record was a hit, How to Rob. I mean, that was playing consistently on Hot 97.
Yes. Very entertaining, very funny song.
So how does a minor league artist?
You got to connect all those facets,
right? But that's my question then. So then, when we say Sean Price is in the minors, it's not because Sean Price doesn't have a legacy of making music.
No, Sean Price has a tremendous legacy. Matter of fact, Sean Price had a moment right? Whether it was Fab Five, Eshkoshka, and they was doing their shit, LaFleur and LaFly, they was rocking prime time. I was in California at the time. That shit was on all mix shows, and they was moving around. And they got their deal with Priority. They was on Priority right then, right? They was moving around. They was on tour buses. They was selling merch. They was doing their thing. They was going, right? They had videos on BET, or was it The Box at the time? And that's another thing that people don't talk about. The lack of music video exposure also hurt hip-hop, because that was another marketing tool. When BET stopped playing music videos, MTV stopped playing music videos, that marketing, that putting face with song, being able to see, oh, this dude is authentic, and this dude... See, now with the internet, you don't really get to see whether or not there's authenticity.
It's all over the place.
You know what I'm saying? Right. So that's also caused a shift in the game.
So let me ask you, man, how do you personally feel about this, man? Honest. Personally,
yeah. Me personally, I probably like one album a year, personally. And that ranges from, look, did I like Rick Ross, the Albert Anastasia mixtape? Yes. Did I like Teflon Don? Yes. Did I like Watch the Throne? Yes. Did I like The Roots Undone? Yes. Do I like Kendrick Lamar? Love it. So, but I don't like everything that comes out. Some shit is lazy sounding.
Of course.
Some shit is just, like no effort was put into what, the complete story, right? Like, I bought a piece of art. Tell me the story. Don't just have a bunch of songs on an album.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? Where's the beginning? Where's the end? What's in the middle? Who are you? Tell me about you. What do you give a fuck about? You ever had your heart broken before? Do you have kids? Like, that's what you want from an artist. You want to feel like you want to, a lot of times
I had this conversation with Fabulous. I'm like, you're a great MC. Why do people not feel that? Like,
right.
I've had this conversation.
And that's where Fab may be not wanting to go there.
Of course,
right? Because maybe he's uncomfortable with exposing that piece of his life.
Just what you were about to say.
Well, I was just going to say, I think the other part of that is that the tools are too accessible now. Remember how you were saying?
Yeah.
That it used to take you used to have to if you want to get in the studio, you want to make a record, it costs X amount of money.
That's
just
right.
to even get to that point.
That's right.
You know what I mean? Which means you already had to either have a certain amount of talent that somebody believed in you to give you that money, whether it was a demo deal from a record label, local hustler around your way. It wasn't accessible to everybody. Now we can go make a record right now on a $100 computer, easy, on an iPhone or an iPad.
Yeah. And let me take it a step further. How many artists did we love, whatever era, 80s, 90s, even now? We looked at them like fucking superheroes.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? Now, you on the reality show, and you got problems just like me. We the same dude. I can't even look up to you.
You're a fuck up.
You know what I'm saying? Like,
you're a regular person now.
You're a regular person. So that stardom, that celebrity, because of social media.
So reality killed the hip hop star.
Right. I believe so. I think it hurt because, like, even T.I., right? Like, I've had conversations with T.I. where it was like, do you think this reality TV thing has hurt your brand? And he's like, I mean, it's who I am.
Right.
And I just the expectations of me are higher than the next guy. And I'm like, yeah, but you can't really talk about being in the trap and having guns. I mean, I guess you could talk about having guns. Everybody got guns, but nobody believes you gonna bust them because we watching kids. You got kids and a wife, and which is a phenomenal thing. Nobody's saying that, but some of the stuff that we loved about hip hop has been reduced because there's too much access. That's why I believe Jay don't jump in there like that, and Beyonce don't give you that shit because they still want you to believe the thing that they're giving you, not the shit that you may find out from social media.
It's like it's too much overexposure now. It's like like you said, no one's making themselves a superstar. Everyone's like, oh, see me every day. This is what I did today, you know.
And nobody cares no more.
Yeah, and
but wait a minute. This phenomenon occurred in rock music. I mean, think about all the rock musicians that we come to find out, were on Molly. Or for their era, cocaine.
Right.
Hard body.
And where's rock music right now?
Well, hold on for a second. Rock music can still play at the Barclays Center. You still have the Rolling Stones,
but that's the difference. But that's the difference. That's a cultural difference.
But
there's still people.
Radio helps create.
Now, keep in mind
those Rolling Stones for rap music.
Yeah. No. 100%. 150%. There's still right now 3 rap acts, whether they're from New York or not, 4. That could sell out Barclays or the Garden. Kanye West, Jay-Z, Lil Wayne, Drake. Those are current. How many current rock bands, real rock bands, can sell out those venues?
Not many, if any.
It's not a lot. I'm sure there are some, but people who are currently putting out new material. I mean, look, the Rolling Stones, I think, might put out a new album or whatever, but they're 400 years old. Like, I mean, like, what are we talking about?
Right, like the Police.
The other part is, I believe this, and I guess we could probably do the research. There's only a handful of stars in any music genre, real, true stars. Everybody's not a star. You know what I'm saying? Like,
so basically, the game is ratcheted up so that you could be talented, but now you have to be a star.
For Hot 97.
Hot 97.
You can, look, I came up with the hieroglyphics,
right.
Living Legends, Grouch, Sunspot Jones. I'm from the Bay. Like, I know all them underground dudes. I was on radio back then. They would come by my little hip-hop show, hang out, I'd play their records. I was like Rosenberg, right?
You're dope, and we fuck with you. But you're not a star.
But you never, I wasn't the PD at the time, but you didn't break into stardom. But they make livings still.
Right.
They traveled Europe, had tours, fed their families and things like that. I think that's the other part of it is artists have to figure out who you want to be. You know, Sean Price, he doesn't, like, once again, we keep bringing him up. He doesn't give a fuck about radio. Matter of fact.
Does he give a fuck about radio, though?
He doesn't give a fuck about radio. He just don't like motherfuckers calling him minor league. As if he hasn't.
But in my opinion, you shouldn't like me calling you minor league. But do you want to change what you're doing to fit in, or do you want to continue being you? And sometimes your you may end up being mainstream, i.e. a Kendrick Lamar. Kendrick Lamar's who he was built into something more major. Kind of Wiz Khalifa too.
Yes.
He's made some more popular records, but kind of who he is, he worked into becoming.
And it was a very organic process.
No, he hooked up with Amber Rose. Amber Rose makes everybody.
But
whatever. He had tremendous. Amber Rose, Tiger Blood on a period. Okay,
even if you take
makes everybody.
Even
tremendous.
if you go back earlier to like Wu-Tang, even. Same thing was an organic thing where the underground became mainstream.
And they sell you the story.
And how many Wu-Tang records, well, let's just look at first 36 Chambers, right? How many of those records got remixed to go mainstream and win a Grammy?
You're all I need. I mean, Method Man wouldn't have had that.
The original version of that wasn't the one that won the Grammy. They threw a R&B joint under that, sampled it up. Look, Method Man, the record, when you listen to Protect Your Neck versus sonically versus Method Man as a record, Method Man is markedly more mainstream sonically than Protect Your Neck or Wu-Tang Clan Ain't Nothing to Fuck With.
That's the single.
Right. So they made a no matter how we love them and how underground they are, they made a concerted effort to make records that they knew sonically would fit a mainstream palette.
Right. So going back again to my question, how do you feel about this? Because I feel that the culture.
I feel great.
You don't feel that the culture is suffering right now?
Yes, but we're here having a conversation, fighting for it. Right. So when Drew Ha is going to hit me and beat me in the head about, you know, whether it's Sean Price or Buckshot or whether, I'm trying to think of somebody, whether it's Talib who wants to make sure he's at the next SOB show, or if it's fucking, I'm trying to think of somebody else that's working crazy right now. If Swiss Beats decides he's going to hook up with an artist that's coming up and give them some records, and because he feels like they put in the work. I had the same conversation with him where I was like, look, you're one of the artists that came out of New York. You're very mainstream. Your wife is like a pop star, right? What makes you want to give, not get your rate? And Blaze, I'm not even going to, you're sitting here, I don't want to go at you with it, but
go at him.
No. Not even get your rate. I'm literally, you don't even have enough money to pay me for the work that I'm about to do for you. Right. But for the sake of the culture, I'm going to give you this song.
Well, that's what it was with Jay Electronica.
Right.
You know, it wasn't like, there was no label, there was no nothing. I just believed in what he could do.
Right.
You know, so there was no money. I made no money off Exhibit C until way later.
So why wouldn't a Just Blaze go to an Action Bronson, go to, we keep talking about Sean Price, go to a Sean Price, go to Joey Badass, go to a Flatbush Zombies, go to Troy Ave, the Tan Boys,
XY,
whoever. I'm gonna do a record for you, and I'm gonna give you one of them things.
Right.
I'm gonna show you how to get on this and make it sound right. And we going off to the races. Is that not something you want to do, or do you not see people putting in the work? It's not their time yet. Swizz's thing was some people put in the work, some people don't. I want to see the work.
Right. I think it's a different combination of things. Like some of the people you mentioned, something might, there's some things that's being discussed behind the scenes. Like a couple of those acts we're talking about doing.
Gotta get the business right though.
But
talk about that business though.
Exactly, because here's the thing, and pardon me, I feel like because the culture has changed, everything's more accessible, right? And anybody can make beats now. Not that they're not all good, but anybody can make them, or some semblance of a record.
Right.
What happens is, and anybody can or somebody can just take your beat, rhyme on it, and have a video out tomorrow for it. What happens is, what's happened is the business model, even on the producer side of things, has gotten so messed up because it's almost expected now. Like, yo, let's just do a project together. All right, cool. So
are you saying that's a minor league approach?
No, what I'm saying is, actually, yeah, it is a minor league approach. It's like, yo, let's just do a project together. All right, how do we monetize it? Oh, well, see, and that's where things get funny for me.
Right. And a cat walks up to me and says, yo, I made this last night. It's fire. Can I get it on the radio? What's that going to do for you? Now people going to hear it. Okay, and? What's your plan?
Now, here's the thing. If an indie artist, like one of the guys you just mentioned, approaches me and says, let's do a project together, and I have a plan as far as how I want to sell it, or I can look at him and his movement and say, okay, I think we can monetize this somehow. Mm-hmm. Let's put a deal together. You know what I mean? And we'll figure it out. That'd be a whole different story. But so many of the newer artists can't even think that far ahead yet. They just want to have records out and be hot.
So like, here we try to do the Who's Next every month. You know what I mean? We have who'snextonline.com. We started out like 7 years ago in an effort to give tools, right, to the up and coming act, right? Meaning we're going to not only give you a place to put music where you could socialize, which was the online component, but we're also going to give you a stage where you can perform, right, and get in front of people. And we're also going to run commercials and things like that saying, hey, come check, to get your name out there. So this way you get an opportunity to run around, get your fan base up.
Right.
If you want to sell merch, if you want to sell CDs, you're now opening up your fan base. We're acknowledging that you've put in the work to have a buzz.
And how can people get this information?
Well, you can go to hot97.com.
See, I got a call from a mutual friend, Mike Harrod.
Uh-huh.
And Mike was singing your praises. Because Mike was basically saying, the game has changed, but behind closed doors, you've helped him put money in his artist pocket because behind closed doors, you have these venues where up-and-coming artists that are not getting radio play get some shine and they get the commercials and the whole nine. I mean, but a lot of people don't know about that.
Yeah, but I don't do it for that.
Right.
I'm not in it for, look, I get people meetings.
Right.
Like, I use my relationships to get people meetings, whether it was, Sylvia Rohn, whether it was Lior, whether it's putting people on Hove's radar, Swizz Beatz. Like this conversation.
You connect.
Yeah.
That's your job right now with regard to the culture.
Yeah, but this conversation is being had by every single person in hip hop in every market. And particularly by guys who grew out of the new, Just knows. He ain't just having this conversation every week with y'all.
Right.
He's having this conversation with people he knows that he sees at baseline or that he sees in the street or that he sees in the corporate offices when he walks in. This same everybody's like,
what's the Stadium Red?
Stadium Red.
Yeah.
Same thing.
Yeah. Understood.
But, everybody wants it. Right? Everybody wants to see New York back on the map or bring New York back.
And I'm not one of those bring New York back type guys because I understand the playing field has changed.
I think what people need to understand is the world's changed because social media has knocked down walls.
Right.
So somebody who's from Mars could get popping in Pittsburgh.
Mars, Idaho.
Exactly, wherever.
Right.
And the kids is, this is popping. Like, I'm with this. I like this guy. And ultimately my friends like it, and the girls that I want to have sex with like it, and the dudes that I want to dress like it, and that's what I like, and this is what we rocking with, and that's that. So I think a lot of us that came out of the 90s forget that the 15, 16-year-old ain't really having the regional conversation.
Right.
They're having the good or bad conversation. Right. And anything about a region.
Kids don't really care about regions anymore.
They don't care.
Right.
Well,
nobody cares.
Hip hop is global. Rap is global.
Let me
hold on. Let me not let Ebro off the hook. We fucks with you. So now here the kid gloves come off. In the new system, where you generate ratings, where you
the system's always been that way, but it's a little bit more complicated.
Okay.
It's become more scientific.
In the PPM system, where is there still a space for what everyone argues about, and people argue about this not just for radio, but they argue about it for blogs. Mm-hmm. They argue about the P word.
That's right.
The deadly P word.
Which is?
Payola.
Okay.
Is there still space for that?
For payola? If you want to lose your job?
Is there still space for someone influencing the influencers?
100%. What? My job is to monitor that.
Right.
That's my job. Right? So if anybody on my staff took place in payola, not only would they lose their job, but I would lose my job.
And you would know because you'd be like, why are you playing that record?
Well, yeah, I know every record that K-Slay plays, every record that Rosenberg plays, I know where it's coming from. I could go find it. I know who's promoting it. I know where they're from. And if shit is like, yo, what is that, B? Where's that from? Right? I can question them about it, right? The other piece of that is, do people really believe, right, that somebody who makes $150,000 a year, $250,000 a year, is going to throw that away?
It's going to risk it
for some cash in a paper bag.
Some people might.
That make that much money.
Some people
you
might.
Really believe
depends on where that money's from. Depends on where that money's from.
What do you mean, where's it from?
Depends on how much money that is.
But so how much money do you think that these artists have to spend? Like, how much do you think it would take?
Depends on who's backing them. I mean,
let's frying pan it. Right here at Hot 97. What DJ here at Hot 97 needs street cash in their pocket? Because they already, because of the radio station, can do 3 to 4 nights a week at a club at $3,000 a pop. Or, well, it's called $1,000. Yeah. So I'm making $3,000 extra dollars a week cash just from being in a nightclub. So now I have my radio salary and I get endorsement deals. So show me the person that wants to give that up to help out Joe Blow rapper.
But all right, let's take it not from Joe Blow rapper. Let's take it from like the major signed artists. Like, what about, like you don't want to offend Universal, so you're
we offend Universal all the time. Cash Money is not happy with me right now.
Well, okay, but at the same time, you still are giving a lot. Like, there's a lot of burn towards major artists, and it's like not so much somebody just sliding you some cash. But then, they support you by buying advertising through other ways. So how does that work?
So let's use an example. Wiz Khalifa just put out a new album. We're not playing Wiz Khalifa's new song.
Because
it hasn't gotten room to get on a playlist. There's been other things pushing up that.
So it's like a runway.
Yeah,
like a queue.
And some people get bumped.
It may not make it. You're saying it may not even make the rotation.
Right. They bought advertising time. We gave away tickets to his concert. He came up and did interviews, but that didn't help his new single get on the box. Now, I like the song. It's Wiz Khalifa in the Weekend. I want to play the song. Haven't gotten there yet. The label is upset. How come you're not playing Wiz Khalifa? Because it's a hot record. Don't have space yet. Right. Y'all got to wait your turn.
So it's real estate.
There's 60 minutes in an hour and there's 24 of them in a day.
Right.
I have to play based on getting ratings the way I need to and based on the average time spent. That's why you hear a high rotation of music, right? So on average, every moment that somebody gives to the radio station in any radio station, mostly in New York, is about 11 minutes per occasion. On average. Now, there's people who listen 24 hours a day and there's people who listen for 2 seconds. So the average in there is about 11 minutes per occasion. I get about 5 of those occasions a day, right? Which is why every time that person gives me an occasion, I want to make sure I'm hitting them with the biggest fucking song that I got.
You want to max out.
Because I want to turn that 11-minute occasion into a 12-minute occasion. Because if I can turn 5 of those occasions at 11 minutes into 12, I've increased my time spent on that day by 10 minutes. So on average, people listen about 3 days a week. What I've done for my total week time spent is probably pushed it up by a half an hour, which could increase my ratings a whole entire share. Right. So that's really why when you talk about heavy burn or rotation, it's based on how we get our ratings, right? Because we're saying, and back to our earlier part of the conversation, research and shit like that, I got this many records that are performing. I got this much time in an hour and people listen this often at this frequency, so on and so forth. So I want to make sure I'm hitting on all cylinders all the time. But then you get to, like I said, a Flex, a Rosenberg, in places where we take risks. And back to the research part, if they focus on a record, if Flex is like, I love this record, I'm playing it, I'll say to you got to play it every day for the next month. So I can measure it. So in those moments where people tune out, tune in, I got enough different moments to say this record's going to perform like this. Now let's open it up to 5 o'clock. And now enough. For the next 3 weeks, you're going to be on this record every day because now we got research that's saying it's moving in the right direction. Let's open it up. Okay, still performing. Let's open it up a little bit more. And that's how we graduate records from just being mixed show records to being all day records. So it's kind of like it's a system of doing things. But I don't want to get off the payola thing. You have to understand that these are careers that people have been doing for years. You know how often one of the DJs come up to me and say, yo, I really like this record, but this motherfucker ain't doing nothing for himself. Right. This record is going nowhere, right? That happens every week. There's people who come up here that we know.
So it's a fight then. Like you have a fight with your DJs. You have fights with
disagreements.
Flex. Right. Well, but it's the same thing.
So, last night we were at the T.I. listening event.
Right.
T.I. has a record called Ball.
Right.
Okay. I like the record. It's cool. It plays in the club for like 90 seconds, right? And that's another debate we have where DJ will say, this record's fire. And I'll go, how long you play it in the club? 90 seconds, 2 minutes. If you don't play a record 2 minutes in the club, it's not a hit.
Right.
Because when I put it in rotation, I got to play it for 4.
Right.
So if you mean to tell me when you play it in the club for 90 seconds, I'm going to now turn and play it for 4 minutes on the box? It's not a hit.
It's not adding up.
Tell me when you playing it for 4 minutes, 3 minutes in the club, now it's a record that I could play on the radio. Right. There's tons of bands that make it dance, all these records. You listen to 90 seconds of those songs, you're over it. So I just leave those in the mix where cats jump in and out of records.
Right.
But T.I.'s got songs on his album. Him and R. Kelly, him and CeeLo Green, right? Him and Pink. Real full-fledged songs, right? I'm like, yo, this shit is fire. Some of the DJs that was there that work here at the station was like, yeah, but he don't have one of them, you know, them things, you know what I'm saying? That trap music, that, you know what I mean? That strip club. I need, this ain't really what the kids is into. I'm like, the fuck is you talking about, man? This is good music.
Good music.
Why don't you like, I'm just saying, like, because DJs and DJs here are influenced by their lenses, right? So your lens, if all you do every day is work 11 p.m. to 6 a.m. at a club, your lens, how you see culture and music, is different than the person who works 9 to 5, who's driving to and from work, taking their kids to and from school. So I'm looking for records for the 9 to 5ers. I'm not looking for records for the dope boy on the corner. I'm looking for records that will entertain people who are employed and have shit to do, right? So when they're in their car, which 75% of our listeners are doing when they're listening to radio, they are going to get something that is palatable through their lenses, right? And most of the time, research shows those are songs that are melodic, right? That have some sort of presence to them.
And incidentally, most of those songs are coming from the other regions.
Currently.
So do you think that's going to change?
If people want to make look, the most played record in the last 18 months on this radio station was Paris, Jay-Z and Kanye West. Now, you don't support New York rap. What's Jay-Z? Well, he don't count. You don't support New York rap. What about 50 Cent? Oh, he don't count. You don't support New York rap. What about Nicki Minaj? Oh, she don't count. You don't support New York rap. What about Fab? He don't count. New Yorkers have this thing where unless the person, and hip hop in general, unless the person is unsuccessful and needs help, struggle, it don't count. Because, and you brought up the Fugees a while ago. Remember when the Fugees, like you said, Hot 97 broke the Fugees? When they were, you know what happened with the Fugees? The Translator crew, the Fugees, got a bunch of melodic remixes from my friend Salam Remy. Then they found their sound, which happened to be melodic.
Right. Because I remember the record failed, and then y'all started playing them.
Right. They came out with How Many Mics and Fuji La. Fuji La was the A side. How Many Mics was the B side. Fu La La La. Lauren singing. At the time, and those that were there, Lauren did not want to sing. She wanted to be an MC. That was the first single. It was good. It did well. People played it. They got the album and found Killing Me Softly. In radio at that time, we were being called by the label, do not play Killing Me Softly. Don't play it. Lauren does not want to be a singer. They do not want to lose their underground hip hop base. They want to be a rap group. You know what radio stations did? Fuck out of here. This shit is fire.
It's a hit.
and it was off to the races, right? Common was the underground champion, champ, right? Resurrection, this one, that one. Kanye West signs to Good Music. Fuck out of here. Kanye done sold out. I mean, Common done sold out, this one, that one. Hip hop always turns our backs on our stars unless they're struggling. Y'all know it. We see it all the time. All the time. Right? So even when Jay Electronica, people was hearing, oh, Diddy might be managing them. Right. No. Well, no. You can't go out here and make money for yourself. What's wrong with you?
Right.
We do that all the time, man.
So you're saying it's a struggle mentality?
That because hip hop comes from struggle.
Right.
So the truists want to continue to struggle, and the people who want to create art and have a career want to go out and do their best.
Right.
So it's look, I love the yin and yang.
Nobody in hip hop likes an amputee rapper though.
But you know, the big deal right now, especially in hip hop, is Kendrick, right? Kendrick. That's all that matters in this world today is Kendrick Lamar. So everybody by now has probably heard the album a million times, hopefully, To Pimp a Butterfly, right? And I'm a fan of Kendrick. I mean, I'm not going to sound like other people who say, like, yo, I was down with Kendrick since K-Dot, since he had the underground, blah, 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 blah. I got down with Kendrick with Section 80, you know, and I dug Kendrick back then. And I dug the last album, Good Kid, Mad City, and then this album. I'm a fan of Kendrick, no doubt about it. And I think that we really need a Kendrick for this generation. This generation needs a Kendrick. You know, if you're 16 and 17 years old, you need somebody who has that type of voice, that power, and is bringing those messages to the forefront. You know, it's not very common in today's hip-hop landscape to have somebody who's so outspoken and so vocal about important issues. So I'm extremely happy for the cat. And like I said, this is an important album, and it's really, really needed. Camille, what say you?
I agree. That type of music right now is definitely needed. And it's good that our young people have something to work with, but I feel like it's dangerous to act like he's the only one, and it's dangerous to place him on so high of a pedestal and kind of use him as the representative of conscious music in this generation when there are so many others. And I think I've spoken before of just the overall dangers in general of placing all your faith in one person and putting so much pressure on one person. And that's kind of what we've seen historically. When we have leaders and it's only one of them, it's real easy to knock that one person down or silence that one person, and then the whole culture goes away or that whole movement goes away. When in reality, there are others who've been doing the same thing, contemporaries, that people don't look at and don't get shine. And then when that one figure that we deify goes away, then we're left with nothing. So sure, kudos to Kendrick. I want him to get as much recognition for this as possible, but can we not place all our eggs into this one basket? Because then what happens when the basket changes or goes away? And then our young people are going to be left with the same ratchet shit that they've been left with, and they're just going to go ahead and hop right onto that one because there aren't a whole lot of options on popular radio to support that.
No doubt. Now, you make a great point, and that's the point that I was going to make too, because with all my enthusiasm about Kendrick, the flip side to it is I'm pissed off with the media. I'm pissed off at hip-hop journalists, if you want to call them that. I'm pissed off at mainstream media. Shit, I'm always pissed off at mainstream media. That's nothing new. But in this particular instance, because these cats are writing articles about Kendrick and about the album like there's no other conscious hip-hop out at all. A matter of fact, they make it sound like Kendrick created conscious hip-hop. This shit is ridiculous. And my thing is, if you're so fucking hyped up and excited and enthused about conscious hip hop, then why the hell do you spend most of your digital ink on writing about Young Thug and Rich Homie Quan's dance and his tight pants and all this shit? If you're so into conscious hip hop, it's always been around. There's plenty of MCs underground independently who are putting out quality material. So my thing is, it's hypocritical, right? here we are reading articles, reading blogs about people saying this is how much we need this music. You know, this is groundbreaking. This is a revolution for today's generation. But they had to wait on Kendrick, who has a multi-million-dollar marketing budget, to bring out his brand of conscious music. So I guess it's more about the resources that you have than it is the actual message. Because the conscious message is around. But is the problem that it's too independent? Is that what it is? It's too underground, so it's not worthy of being publicized, of being promoted? Is that what it is? And that's my problem with mainstream media. Again, it has nothing to do with Kendrick. It has everything to do with how Kendrick is being packaged and how he's being promoted as the one and only.
You know, I don't even think it's that. I think, in part, but I think in large part, it's just the powers that be are like, it's only room for one. And they're only going to allow one. So in that regard, Kendrick is like our token right now.
He is the one.
And yeah, he is that one, the one, right?
That's the Matrix, right?
Right. He's the rap game's Neo, which is
right.
which is a problem though, because anytime we have tokenism, it's an issue. We should never have one. Like, okay, fine, you're brilliant. Maybe you are in your own right, but you should not be, and you cannot be the only one. And what's wrong with having other brilliant conscious artists alongside of you, to your left and to your right, or up and coming, so we can share some of that? Because again, when you just have one, that is dangerous. And then what is the media saying? What is the executives and the people who control all this shit? What are they saying? Because we got plenty of empires. How many housewives of fill in the blanks do we have? How many Love and Hip Hop versions do we have? Right. We have a plethora of that shit. They open up lanes for that shit every fucking day. There's a new spinoff. But we only have one Kendrick. We only have one conscious artist being really, really taken seriously in popular music right now, and like you said, advertised and marketed and backed with real dollars. What happened to everybody else who's trying to get in on that or who have already been here on that? That I don't really think that's fair. That's not Kendrick's fault, though, so I'm not going to blame him for it. But I'm just saying we need to reevaluate kind of the way we're glorifying one person and instead say, yo, he's dope. Let's demand that other people like him to get on, too. That this is not enough. Don't get complacent because we got Kendrick. This is not enough.
Well, you know, I think we got Kendrick and we got J. Cole. You know what I mean?
But see, J. Cole is kind of on the fence, though. Like, he's burgeoning. He's getting back to that. He's moving in that direction, but J. Cole has kind of always been somebody that I've had a love-hate relationship for, because his earlier work, I could fuck with it. I was like, okay, yes. But then somewhere midway through, he started shucking and jiving and doing the same shit that other people was doing. And I bought the album and I was like, what the fuck? I wanted to throw that shit out the window because I had such high hopes. And now he's gradually moving back into that direction, and that's great. But it's kind of like you get sprinkles of it. It's not real. It's like it's not all the way through. To me, it's like a sprinkle of this every now and then, which begs the question, and I hope this is not the case, but it begs the question, are you just doing this shit because it's popular right now? Are you doing this shit because it's supported right now, and you're just going to go wherever the wind blows? And if people are buying ratchetness, you're going to make ratchetness, and then if people are buying conscious, you're going to make conscious? No, pick the lane that you're in and stick with it. And then if you want to throw in a few whatever party anthems in there, that's fine. But I shouldn't buy your album and your whole album is bullshit and maybe you got one song on there that's real if that's supposed to be your lane. Like, you can't just waver like that. We don't have the luxury of wavering. Sure, it would be nice in a perfect world for us to be able to do whatever the fuck we feel like doing that day, but we don't have the luxury of that.
You know, I want to go back, like, if we can put the luxury of doing that shit to the side, because I want to bring that up in the next segment. So let's bookmark that mentally. But I want to go back to mentally bookmark exactly. But I want to go back to J. Cole. I do think he's going through a transformation. I think he's going through an evolution. You know, and I don't know the cat personally, of course, but I think that, you know, as we move through this year and through his future projects, I think we're going to see much more consciousness. You know, I see that the cat is really starting to inject that in his music. You know, and I've heard plenty of interviews with him, and I appreciate where he's coming from. But here's the thing: if Kendrick is the one,
Yeah.
right? And J. Cole is the, I don't know, the second, right?
Yeah.
You know, that seems that that's it. Because when I ask my students, you know, what do you think about hip hop? Who you know, who's exciting you right now? Who's really got you pumped? Those are the two names that keep coming up. J. Cole and Kendrick. You know, I like to call it the Kendrick and J. Cole effect. Yeah. Because it seems like those are the only two people that keep coming up in conversations in regards to who's dope and who actually says something in hip-hop. And again, it's a slap in the face to all of these artists who have been putting out incredible music for so many years.
I wonder how Lupe Fiasco feels right now.
Well, if Lupe would have put out a better album
right.
Than the one he recently put out, then maybe he'd feel a different way.
Lupe tried this. He tried being super conscious and kind of, you know, fuck the powers that be. I'm going to just be honest and give us some real stuff. And the public, I don't feel really supported him in that. I feel like his fans weren't really showing up like they needed to.
You don't think he has a strong fan base?
It wasn't strong enough.
Okay.
Because what happened? Like he was in his feelings for a while, and I was worried for the man, and I don't even know him. But I felt like if I had his phone number, I would just leave him a voicemail and be like, "Dude, hold on. Like I see you, man. I see you. You're in my thoughts.
You're in my prayers.
Keep
everything
hope
will
alive.
be okay.
Yeah, everything will be all right." Because people just were throwing shade at him left and right, and so you know, I'm just hoping that people are going to really support the J. Coles and the Kendricks and anybody else who feels like they want to get in that lane, because what I saw with Lupe, we didn't really do that. I can't say we because I did, you know, but most people didn't really do that to the extent that they needed to. And because when you do that, you're going to get some backlash. Kendrick right now is getting supported, and J. Cole is getting supported, but in a way I feel like they're getting supported by big business and money and dollars for a certain reason that might go away.
Right.
And so when that goes away, people are really going to have to stand their ground and be like, yo, we want this, we support you, and that's what we're going to put our both our vocal support, our emotional support, and our financial support in. And yeah, Lupe recently put out some BS, but yo, the public put him through it, dude. Like, I was looking at his Twitter and following him, and I was like, my man, I'm sorry on behalf of like your 2 million followers, like 1.5 million of those. I apologize.
Yeah, they were kicking his ass on social media. That's for sure.
Me and Stick, M1 and Stickman have continued to grow and thrive and be who we are, build our families, affect media, and use our words wisely. My partner is dropping songs and albums focused on wellness and health in our community, which is frontline struggle against these same kind of government plan that has been put out to keep our people, you know, dying from diabetes and high blood pressure and cancer and dope and the rest of it. However, you know, I'm here too. I'm still here as M1, and I dropped the album this last year. You know, it's called Between Me and the World, and it was an attempt for me to position myself to talk about what's happening right now in the world of people who see revolutionary leadership in the center more than on the left now. So people like Kendrick Lamar are making revolutionary messages. Chance the Rapper seems like a revolutionary to our people. But they don't take revolutionary positions, I'm going to be honest. You know, they're not revolutionary, but they seem revolutionary. J. Cole seems like a revolutionary. And I big up all these brothers for the remarks that they make. But it is the intention that matters more than the song. It is the intention, your intentions. And I think more than anything, the intention has not been for us to be released from oppression. It's more than to self-aggrandize or to bring fame or fortune to certain particular artists. And that's cool because they weren't tied before, but we need now more than anything a different intention. We need a freedom intention. We need to, by any means necessary, Malcolm X, Marcus Garvey, Thomas Sankara, Kwame Nkrumah, you know what I'm talking about, the comrades, you know what I mean, Assata Shakur, you know. So we need that intention. And I think that's what's happening with Dead Prez. So